there exists a man, and he goes by the name Shin-Jener, and today I want to talk about one of the newer NU users. I want to go over some of their tournament games from recent time, because I think it's fun to look at newer users, give him a little bit of a spotlight. This guy has been just a very nice presence within NU, and he's played some very good games, I would say, lately. And there's also stuff to talk about the meta with this, and I think that it's always good when we can analyze certain Pokemon within the confines of tournament settings. This time we got some Gloombro shenanigans we're going to talk about later on. But shout out to Shengineer. He's been playing some nice games. I hope to see him make it even further in the tournaments he's playing in. Of course, you enjoy this type of little tournament coverage, leave a like, subscribe, you get more of it. You never miss an upload, and you get to be part of the first 10k subscribers to the channel, because we're hitting 10k this year. Whether you want me to or not, it's happening. You could either choose to be a part of it, or you can be not a part of it. Anyhow, this first game, right? So, what do we want to talk about this first game? So, Houndstone, low Pokemon. It's been getting more usage lately, at least in the previous meta. New meta is just HO everywhere. We gotta let it simmer down a little bit before we can take too much else from it. But Houndstone is a very cool pick, because Serena as a remover, very, etc. prevalent. And Houndstone looked at Serena and said, you're never getting rid of hazards. So in a game like this, where the opponent not only has a Serena, but also a Hariyama, which Houndstone is just going to look at and go, huh, interesting. It'd be a shame if I walled you. It's a very good pick. So you're going to be able to get your hazards here. You're going to set them, and you're just going to be very chill. You also look at potential mons that could be good. I mean, Meloetta, get rid of Registeel. Maybe it can do something. It just depends on the set. Flygon even looks pretty solid as well this game, because once their own Flygon is out of the picture, you're going to spam EQ. It's going to be very nice. So, as we look at this game, we see Registeel immediately led into Mr. Bones, and he immediately says, give me a little wisp on this Registeel. This is very good for both, of course, Scream and Meloetta. Just get this mon, not poisoned, burned. Makes it easier to deal with them. As Chifloud My Gon comes in. This is the worst nickname ever, Shin-Jin. Get rid of this. As we see, this is a banded Flygon. Hits his Registeel with an EQ, does 500 million damage as Taka gets very greedy. Tries to get a T-Wave off. As now the Scream on the double the Flygon comes out. Now here's a free wish if you want to go for it, which we end up seeing Shin-Jin go for. Brings in the Quillionaire here. Arcanine gets a little crit. It doesn't matter though, as Shin-Jin says, the detrimental crit, because all it meant, Arcanine took a little bit of extra recoil. The Overcoil gets a spike here now, and we're being chillin'. Houndstone comes back out, because as we said, this mon is going to give Hariyama hell the entire time. If you're bulk up Yama, you're just not breaking the Houndstone. It does not matter. So, freest Poltergeist of his life. There is no ghost resistance, no ghost immunity, outside of maybe a Terra Normal Arcanine or something. And with Sylveon can come out, take that hit pretty well. You know what? Not too bad. As I'm going to pause here now and direct my attention to this. I don't know why people think it's so funny to just out of nowhere talk on my name like this. You two goobers, you can shut the hell up real quick. All of that to say, they change their tune later on because this dog was goated. Look at this. 0 damage from the knockoff. Roar the stupid Yama out. What are you trying to say to me? Get out of here. So, Meloetta comes out and doing the Sylveon, knowing, I mean, it's probably AV with how it was played. We see a Protect here is, yeah, the knockoff reveal makes sense. It's just a bulkier Meloetta, trying its best to limit the Sylveon and give you a little bit better of an option with positioning, because you've got U-turn. You can get rid of those lefties as well. As we then see the rare Calm Mind into immediate hard switch. Very weird play there. But, I mean, it happened. You predicting a U-turn? I don't really get it. But Shin-Jin here, we know what he predicted. He predicted a Flygon immediately bopped it. Now, here's a play that I would have made on this turn. He just outrage and dies to the Sylveon. It probably just means it wasn't this set. But a guy like me, if I was Terra Steel Flygon, I'm immediately going for my Terra Steel so that I live the H voice. I'm going for that confused due to fatigue right there, so I can save my Flygon. Let's look at Flygon versus the team. Banded Flygon 6-0s from there, so a little unfortunate, but it happens. Overcoil comes out. It's gonna 1v1 this Yama all the time now at this point. A Barb Barrage can finish it off here. You can throw up more spikes as well if you wanted. He hits the Arcanine though with another Barb. Really, at this point, if I'm Shin-Jin, the only mon I'm like even moderately concerned with is Arc. Because I feel like it could maybe be a little annoying. Yeah. Quillfish comes out again. You can't really go Houndstone too easily, because I think it might have been in range of Serena, depending on like if it was super offensive with EVs. I think there's a rule after rocks to die, so kind of in for it. But now you got Overcoil back to full. He was able to Terra Water versus the Arcanine and get that poison on it too. Arc was looking like maybe it could have been a little problematic with the flag gone out of the picture, so this is just very good for him. As we actually see now, I was wrong on that calc. This mon just always died. I don't know. I think maybe Wish Pass to this would have been a little better, though it meant he could get this Terra Watered against the Arcanine, so I get it. It was still a good play. It just means you lost your hazards, but they shouldn't be too detrimental. As we now see the great 1v1ing of the Raja versus the Serena. We will see these two exchange hits for several turns now, as the Serena does end up losing the game of chicken there. Not like it would have mattered. Raj outstalls the syntheses, but hey man, what can you do? As I would say again, the fabled bulk up when we have no HP, it's not going to end up actually amounting to anything here. Although we do see coming up here, Baron already decreeing it as game over. We do see a little bit odd of a play, I would say. Instead of just picking off this Pokemon here, he goes for a Wish, and then hard switches into Overcoil. So again, something you can learn from all this. A little bit, I think, getting in his own head there. You don't need to make these kinds of plays at this point. The proper way to handle that, in my view at least, just Gleam immediately. You don't lose to Arcanine ever, if that's what you're worried about coming out. And Sylveon is not beating this mon either, because you're Encore. They're always Encore, man. It's not a spoiler, it's just a fact. So I would have just gleamed the Yama immediately, got rid of it, and when the Sylveon comes out, you could Wish then. Like as we see right here, right? You wouldn't be worried. So all that beside the point. Sylveon goes for its Calm Mind here, as the Yassified Puff gets all of its HP right back into a Protect here, and yeah, there you go. There's the Encore. So you can Encore lock into Protect like that. That lets you switch into whatever you need. He goes to the Overquill once again. Goes for maybe what is the most useless spike of this era. It doesn't do anything, but you didn't really have anything else to go for that turn either, so it's fine. He locks it into Edge Voice though. A little bit better of a move now because you can go into like Raj, trade a little bit of its HP away with some very weak sauce Earthquakes, and yeah, should be okay versus the Sylveon from here as you weaken it down. You really are just looking to get Overquill back in at this point, because this thing, if it tries to go for its Wish stuff, you just need to get the Barb Barrage poison. You're okay. Even if he had I think even if he had gotten the no poison there, it might have been okay still if this is Psyshock. Though I will say I didn't throw this, did I? A little bit, maybe a little bit. I think really the spot where he went astray was switching the Screamtail out, as he ends up winning here, and Mary sums it up pretty well here, right? You just stay in with the Screamtail versus the Yama, you kill it. If they go Arcanine, you don't care because you get Overquill in for free the next turn no matter what. If they go Sylveon, then you can still Wish, and they can never lock into CM because you'll Encore them, and an Overquill will come out and do the same thing. So that's really that's how you optimize that endgame. And yeah, now go to an NU seasonal series between also another newer user to NU, good old Shag. These two seem to be kind of close as well, which is nice. And this seasonal series was summed up by a lot of spectators as the Gloombro winning, because we see why a lot of people like to consider Gloombro OP based on how it played out in this series. And it's very funny too, because the times that Shin-Jener brought Gloombro, it's versus the same team. And yeah, each time, it looks great. Like, let's analyze, right? Why does Gloombro look so good this game? Well, what's the counterplay to Gloombro on Shag's team? You got your answer? Yeah. So it's the Chandelure. Chandelure is the only real thing that you're worried about with Gloombro here. Gligar's EQs, bro, it's Gligar. It does like 5 damage. You beat it up, and as I guess, I don't know if I spoke the set into existence or if people just started changing their set conveniently around the same time I talked about Terra Water Gloombro with Surf. Regardless, your Terra Water, you just win. It's not that simple, of course, right? But it's so good because you have a move to hit Chandelure a little bit harder with. You'll beat down Gligar with complete and utter ease. You don't even have to worry about wasting slack-offs, trying to, you know, slowly beat it down with flamethrowers instead. Is just very, very, very strong into this type of build. But also, Chandelure is the way you respond, right? Because again, we talked about Gligar, not very good. Umbreon, kind of the same issue, except Umbreon similarly is worried about getting Sludge Bomb poisoned. Once that happens, Gloombro is always going to take you down unless you get, like, the most well-timed Toxic ever on the Gloombro terrain. But with here, you're going to get a P2. And if you're Flash Fire Chandelure and they're Trace Porygon 2, it doesn't look good. You better be Trick, and you better get a Trick off on this, because if you don't, P2 is going to wall you forever. And so it just makes Gloombro so safe. The Chandelure doesn't really want to hard switch in ever, because like we said, Surf, even a Sludge Bomb poison on it's not good. And there's just always an easy response. And it helps too for Shengineer, because it's not like Chandelure can just rely on getting a Trick off either. Or Shag Chandelure can't just do that. There's a Flygon that could come in, and it's okay if it's like, this team looks like Scarf Shandy, right? That doesn't care about getting a Scarf. Meloetta doesn't really care. Your Chandelure won't care. So it's just, it's a very bad matchup already for Shag. It's like, I call this a 100-0 matchup. You don't lose. So Ambipom's led with, and immediately he leads Glowbro, because why would he not? It wins! So he throws off a Sludge Bomb for free turn 1, because again, we talk about the mons that have to try and switch in. They don't want to get hit by that. And then a great Surf, knowing that if Umbreon came out, you didn't care. So the 2 poison resistances, hit one of them with a Soif, you do a lot more. And again, here too, we see how little Gligar does. It doesn't really threaten Glowbro at all. This is why I prefer specially defensive Mudsdale kind of in this role, right? I think Gligar works for the team because you want a ground immunity, but this role, much better fitted by Muds. Because you do more damage as well, while still being incredibly bulky. All that to say, now we're going to watch Glowbro sit in front of this Umbreon. The foul plays do enough damage to where you're forced into these slack-offs. The problem being, you still don't really beat Glowbro, because it gets turns to plot up where it needs to, and it's going to still be able to fish for these poisons. Umbreon now being poisoned, you see Synchronized blocked by being a poison type, and now it's like, it's even worse. Not lost, but, you know, pretty close. There's good Chandelure bring in there. Unfortunately, it doesn't really matter because there's a P2, and he doesn't Trick on this turn. You have to just hope you get the Trick turn right, and then even if you do, I'm not entirely convinced that it's a guaranteed win, you know? That wasn't playing at all during some of this, was it? Huh. Anyhow. You have to hope you get that Trick turn right, even then it's not guaranteed. So he ends up hitting the Meloetta with it instead. And it's like, not that great. It's nice, because now this doesn't have lefties, so when you get Energy Balls and Fire Blast off on it, it is weakening the Meloetta. It's just not that helpful. Good double, though, here to get Plumen. I mean, you'd rather have Plumen versus the P2. Unfortunate Leech Seed miss. I don't think it's that important, but you'd rather, of course, get earlier chip. Sludge Bomb is smart there, too, but not getting a poison there is, you know, it kind of makes you wonder, like, okay, well, why'd I bother? So now the Lug comes out after being paralyzed earlier, and it's just, Avalug's gonna do nothing here. Ice Spinner, as you see, does not meaningfully threaten the P2. You'd lose that trade probably long term just to Ice Beam spam. And now the Glowbro finally is brought back out, and I will say the Surf there, I probably would have just plotted, but it makes sense because you're trying to hit the Shandy. And now that, you know, he did go Plume, you're happy to just go for your plot there. And we see now, Sludge Bomb hit on Shandy, immediate poison as well. This means Chandelure can no longer switch into Glowbro if it's at +2 without risking a one-shot. So he does get a lefties there. Tricked on his P2. He swiped my shit's insane. But it's not going to matter. The Chandelure is, at this point, just not going to be able to win the game for you. And it's getting so low, especially losing lefties, it's worse for it in this regard. But you've now got Chandelure so low that if it switches in on an unboosted Sludge Bomb even, add Poison Chip, you should be taking it down. Now, a little unfortunate Fire Spin miss there for Shengineer. Actually, like, trapping Umbreon there would have been incredible. And now Ambipom's allowed free entry, which is not really, you know, a game loser, but it kind of is annoying. And then the crit there with the knock, honestly, might have mattered there was a crit. Because it was lefties Meloetta. That probably means Calm Mind with a lot of bulk. So, is what it is. And he actually gets a bit of a low roll on the sludge there, so the Shandy does live, but of course it's poisoned. If he doesn't hard switch there immediately, he dies. And so it still dies on the poison, so you're chilling, you're chilling. Umbreon comes back out. And here I think we actually see this revealed to be like Banded Flygon, right? Yeah, that Banded Flygon chip. So you know Chandelure on Shengineer's team is also gonna be Scarf. So Banded Flygon even looks like a great winner. Avalugg is still at a lot of HP, but hey man, just get the full Paras smile. But once again, we see Gloombro revealing his ugly face. At this point, there's really just nothing Shag can do. Like, Gloombro is gonna force the issue at this point versus Umbreon, especially with that poison chip forcing more wishes to come out of it. I would have probably plotted there, frankly, but it is what it is. There's nothing wrong with that turn. And that Toxic there, I think, is just... I don't know what it's hoping for. Maybe hoping Flygon comes out. But, I mean, it's not going to do anything. He Terra Poisons because he doesn't want to take so much chip from the Sludge Bombs. The problem being, this Gloombro has Surf. So, it's still going to be able to do a million to you. And I'm going to start skipping some turns now because this game is just over. So, we see there. Just beat down. Slack it off, making sure he doesn't die. And then eventually he pulls the trigger on the Terra Water. Pops the Umbreon. Now here we see one of the most generational misplays by Shin-Jener, where I think in a later game he said that he forgot that Shag couldn't Terra anymore. So he was worried the Plume would Terra. Now I would like to reference the fact that this Umbreon in the sequence versus the Gloombro did indeed Terra versus the Gloombro. So he kind of throws the game away here because Gloombro is faster than a paralyzed Vileplume. And you just Sludge Bomb 3 times and you win. But it's not really going to change the outcome of this game. Because you just win still. He also switches. I probably would just Flamethrower it again. But I get it. You're just trying to make sure you keep Chandelure around guaranteed. Because that way you never risk losing the game. But I was like this turn again. I would have just gone Shandy. Like, just keep getting Chandelure in. It will beat down the Vileplume. We see a Leech Seed hit there. And Bomb comes back. Like, this is where you can kind of see that, you know, I'm not calling him a beginner. But it is still a little bit of a shaky way to play this in-game out. Because we just get Shandy in, man, and win. But you get the pair on the Ambi now, and you're feeling good because now Flygon just comes out and will Earthquake these two down. So... maybe the method wasn't perfect, but the outcome's all the same. You gotta win. And now we win the game too. And I think this team was actually posted on the forum recently by Keo. So I don't know if this means Keo built the team or what. But we see more Altaria, and that mon I don't like, so I don't love seeing that. Let me get my head back in the game real quick. But new matchup here, game 2. And Shag has an Oricorio Pom-Pom, and it's very funny, because at preview, it's like, it doesn't look like it just wins, right? If you look at Shin-Jener's team, there looks like there's plenty of counterplay to an Oricorio. And yet, because it's Oricorio Pom-Pom, there's just that sinking suspicion in the back of my head that it will always be able to find a way to win. So can Shin-Jener offset that perpetual threat of Oricorio? Or is it going to take him down? Looking at his team too, one of the things that is pretty cool about it is the amount of set... what's the word? You're able to hide your sets very well on this team, because if you want to talk about Scarfer, for example, right? Meloetta could be Scarf. Flygon could be Scarf. If you go off of a video that members watched when I team built with Scarf Grafai, Grafai could be Scarf. So you don't really know which of those is going to be the mon that you need to fear outspeeding your Oricorio randomly. If it's Meloetta, then kind of playable. Still not great, but there's maybe a little bit of room to outplay. If it's Flygon, kind of same deal, because you could be Terra Fairy. And if Flygon Terra, or not Terras, but if Flygon outrages as you Terra Fairy, then I'm Dedge. If Scarf Grafai, at the very least, you know that it isn't Encore, so there's maybe a little bit more say in how that matchup goes for you. But it works out very well still for Shin-Jin, because it's going to force Shag to play a little bit more safely, especially early on in the game. Meanwhile, Shag's just got, like, very standard balance. I mean, you got the Rocks Reggie, the Spikes Quill, probably a Scarf Flygon Although it could even be banded here with the Scarf on Meloetta. And then you got like Spin Serena. There's really not a lot to say. Is it just a matter of can you play around Mr. Oricorio or not? So we do see the leaded Grafaiai, and Grafaiai outsped Flygon. So if I am Shag, I might have confirmation on that set already. But I'm also, as a spectator, just assuming, hey man, I think this is a Scarf Grafaiai angle. As Altaria tries to trap something in this game too. 2 games in a row where it fails to get the fire spin going. Because the Quill just flip turns on out. So Perish Song comes out, you don't really care. As Sylveon is what switched in on a U-turn. Good little pivot from Shag there. Bringing out that Registeel, and this is a free Rocks. The problem is there's also an Altaria, so it's a free Altaria. You see Pom Pom come out. Now, Altaria, funny enough, is actually really strong this game. Like, it doesn't... There's not really a lot that Shengineer has to bring in versus ult. Or not that Shengineer has, I mean that Shag has. So, it can kind of do some stuff. As you don't see a Scale Shot miss for Flygon, which in my view, again, I would assume this confirms that this is either Bandit or DD. You could do like Dragon Dance Scale Shot. It really makes Adamant very easy to justify on Flygon. Or Bandit. We've seen Bandit Flygon run Scale Shot before just because you already have an attack boost and now I'm getting a whole bunch of speed boosts. Kind of hard to revenge kill me that way. But he ends up switching out. Meloetta now in versus the Altaria, which is really the only thing that Alt's overly worried by. And we see nice 12%. So definitely a very bulky Meloetta. Perhaps it's a V on this team, especially seeing that it revealed a U-turn. As the Serena's now brought out. And once again, we're going to see these two have a just absolute battle. As the Iron Head doing a very nice chunk of that Serena. Raj wants to take a lot from Nock, which makes that Raj is maybe a little more offensive than normal. I don't know. I wouldn't think it'd take that much from Serena Nock early, but maybe I have my head calcs off. Regardless, once again, Copper Raja winning the exchange versus the Serena. Pom Pom comes back out here, picks off Raj, not wanting to quiver just in case the Raja had like Rock Slide is my assumption there. As Meloetta now comes out, and you do need to at least respect it a little early. While you still don't know the set, it's good to still pay a little bit of caution, play with a little bit of caution, my bad. As we see, it's just revealed to also be Assault Vest Meloetta, given the absolutely pathetic showing versus Registeel there. As now the Altaria is out versus Pom Pom. And Meloetta comes back out because it's AV, so it's so bulky, it should be able to check Oricorio. The problem is if you're not Psyshock, you don't actually really do anything. And if you're the, I've seen a couple of these run with like full special defense invest, which I'm not a huge fan about, frankly, but it's okay. But since you're not Psyshock and you can't actually do damage, Ori gets 2 boosts here, and this is just over. Depending on the set at least, right? It might be over. Alt comes out here, gets absolutely blasted by Terra Ice Oricorio. Never before seen this. Like Fairy and what's it called? The other one, Ground, or what this runs. But no, he just Terra Ice, and yeah, Super Smoke. So, once again, like I said, it doesn't look like Oricorio wins, but as you start seeing the sets revealed more and more, you kind of start getting a feeling for how Oricorio could bullshit its way to a win. And all it needed was that one free turn. Let me find it. All it needed, this one turn. Forced out an Altaria and got a quiver. And what I will say, too, I think that was a little bit of a misplay from Shin-Jener. The reason for it is if you know Meloetta doesn't have Psyshock and can't damage for, band for band go with this Oricorio, I think you have to just Perish Song immediately and say, no, I'm not getting swept right here if you decide to set up. Because there's nothing you can do to stop it at +2. I guess maybe the thought process would be, as he went ult as an option later on. The thought process could have been that, okay, I'll go Altaria, I'll live 1 +2 hit and I'll Perish Song. It's still a little dicey because of Air/Slash flinches. So I think you just need to try and make it as safe as possible for you and just immediately drop the Perish. But he doesn't. Terra Ice already pops ult in 1 hit. I don't even know if he needed to be Terra Ice to do that, but he was. And we go to game 3, where as I showed, Shag brought the same team. Shin-Jener brought a very similar team in concept to his game 1 build with the Gloombro plus P2. And so as a result, I mean, it's just as bad as game 1. Maybe it's not a 100-0 matchup for Shin-Jener this turn. But it's like maybe like a 99-1. And I only say that Because maybe you think that Chandelure matches better against Overquill Flygon? Or not Flygon. Maybe you think it matches better versus like the Overquill stuff than Meloetta. But same stuff I said for game 1's gonna apply here. Gloombro just beats the team. So I'm gonna lead with Gloombro again, but he leads off with the Tauros. Very intelligently as well, letting it take a fake out. But then switching? So he kind of tries and says, oh, well, I'm not Scarf. Look, I switched. I can't outspeed and CC. And his Overquill's going to get a spike. I know Shin-Jener loves Overquill, so I'm not shocked to see more of it. And once again, Gloombro comes out versus the Plume because you don't really care. And immediately this turn, instead of just taking Chip versus Gligar on turn 1 like he did in game 1, he goes for a plot and then hits it with a Soif. This takes it down low enough to where now you get to just Sludge Bomb. You don't really care if maybe Umbreon's pivoting or something. It just feels good for you. Crit from EQ is a little annoying, but you were always going to switch this next turn anyway. As the Waros comes out, takes an Axel with complete and utter ease. I probably would have U-turned, frankly, but this is a fine play. As he does end up being Scarf on Poros. Outspeeds the Ambipom, pops it in the mouth, and I mean, this is pretty good. Ambipom wasn't some huge threat or anything, but it is nice to have it out of the picture. And once again, we do see Shin-Jener not allowing the P2 to get tricked, instead allows the, I'll call it an auxiliary check to the Chandelure to take the trick instead. So P2 will always hold it down later on and gives Gloombro just the complete and utter freedom to do what he needs to basically for the rest of the game. Which is going to be the same as game 1, where you're just looking for a Sludge Bomb poison on Umbreon. And maybe even on Chandelure you need to get a couple turns right, or a couple turns go in your favor. But long term, you're in a fine spot. So Umbreon versus Overquill now. He can get a spike if he wants, but instead he goes into the Raj here. Here's the Umbreon, which got it, then takes half from foul play. God, and he rocks. I will be honest, man. If I am this Umbreon, I'm just foul playing Copper again, trying to get it out of the picture and see if I can get like literally any extra KOs. Umbreon admittedly is kind of annoying for Shengineer to deal with. Because if it Terra poisons, that does mean like Flygon, of course, can EQ Super Smoke. But it means you're kind of decent into these two at least, just maybe a little better. You're still a little bit better into Gloombro as well. You still have Avalugg as well to check the Flygon, so it's not the end of the world. Had he just stayed in and foul played, I think it would have been a little bit better for him. Like, just take your chip, maybe Toxic on the next turn, or just foul play again to weaken Overquill more. Maybe that helps you make your progress a little better, but it is what it is. Good Terra Ghost here from Shin-Jener, as I think this is like a rather offensive Copper. I don't remember the calcs. But yeah, that Iron does a million, and then Shag even mispredicting and going for a Rapid Spin on the following turn. Ends up being forced to Terra the Avalugg, though, instead of his Umbreon this game. Not yet, but later. My bad, I'm a little ahead of myself. The Bloom comes out for Zaraj here. And what's funny, though, if this was like offensive Copper with like max attack, max speed, he would have just gotten outspeed Vileplume there. Outspeed and two-shot with Iron Head, so that's fun. Instead, though, he gets to get more spikes with Overquill, and so long as the Raj is still alive in the back, he's never actually really at risk of losing the game. I think he needed to double, though, to Copper there, because now you let the Avalugg get back to full. And that's not very good for you. So now it's allowed to Terra Poison here and actually win this one-on-one exchange. He gets off some more Iron Head chip, and now is forced to switch out if he wants to preserve Raj. Instead, though, goes for a Whirlwind, maybe predicting there to be a recovery there. Maybe also just being okay to sack Raj, but then deciding here, hey, since he didn't kill my Raj, instead, Chandelure eventually got brought out, now we can go into P2. You know? After Whirlwinding with Chandelure, you know? He said, hey, maybe I should keep Raj anyway, just to spin block once more. And once again, we get this, sequence where eventually it's just going to lead to Avalugg coming out. So I'm going to switch to here. Gloombro comes in on, I'm assuming a predicted Avalugg switch, but maybe also thinking he could just Wish Protect. And this gives you a Gloombro turn to maybe fish for a poison. And once again, gets his poison, which, again, maybe the game's not over, but it's pretty over. Umbreon, I mean, Chandelure, the difference this game is Shandy's still around and can threaten the Gloombro. But there's still a P2. And P2 actually, again, it's such a really, really convenient defensive pairing because it P2 does, honestly, think about it too like this. I'm gonna pause the battle. We're 30 minutes in. If you're still here, thank you for watching. Let me know you made it 30 minutes in. P2 is a cool idea as a defensive mon too, because if you think about a couple of the mons that maybe are tasked with being aggressive answers to Gloombro, Chandelure is one of them. Toxtricity is another one. And I think of those two mons immediately as just great P2 fodder, because you trace Flash Fire from Shandy, it can't do anything to you. You trace Punk Rock from Toxtricity, even that doesn't really do much to you then. You could still gotta get hit by Sludge Wave and that's gonna hurt. But you prevent the spam of the like big nuclear move, and that's still very valuable. So Flygon comes in here on the little guy. I'm thinking maybe predicting Umbreon to come out, and he just wanted to get aggressively a CB Flygon switch in. Assuming he's banded, because, you know, we know the Scarf Tauros is a thing, so there you go. Plotsup versus the Vileplume. And this is a pretty favorable exchange if you have plot going on before the seed hits you. When it works like this, it's maybe a little dicier, but it ends up being fine here because Gloombro will beat the Umbreon down now. Like, you just Sludge Bomb here always. Surf works fine too. Chandelure will get that 12% back, but you're not worried about that. You got a P2. And even P2 gets tricked like Boots. It doesn't even matter at this point, because as we're going to see, Digiball does nothing. And I will skip these turns, because this is just nothing happening for several turns. Chandelure trying to maybe get a special defense drop with Energy Ball somewhere, failing to. And then Lug comes out. It's not going to be able to win this trade ever versus P2 either. And so it gets paralyzed, eventually spins. Raj comes out as a sack. This is actually like this is like the peak Gloombro experience. Like we said, you just, if you can get the plot before being leech seeded, like as in leech seed happens a later turn, that's really, really valuable. And yeah, this will just win now. Chandelure paralyzed, so you're just fast. Well, you're probably actually slower, but Chandelure comes in immediately. Now you outspeed the last two guys, and you'll be able to win this match always. It's like I said, 99 to 1 matchup. We do end up seeing a Plume now. 5v1. Unfortunately for Vileplume, it's not built like that. It's not built to survive this onslaught. And yeah, I'm skipping turns because none of this matters. Gloombro's going to come out and eventually win. So, all it is to say, Shengineer, be on the lookout for this man. Excited to see where his in-year career takes him, but I also just thought these were some fun games to talk about from recent tournaments. This was in UCL, had a lot of good things to talk about, and then just this circuit series shows you a lot of the Gloombro potential and why some people are so dead set on getting it banned from NU, because yeah, I mean, it's got some insane potential to win you games just on its own. So very fun to talk about. Hope y'all enjoyed. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you next time. Peace.